Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed Enter your participant ID followed by pound. After the tone, please record your name. When you have finished recording, press pound. You are in the meeting now. There are 11 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? All right, so the agenda is approved as published. Next would be the minutes for,
And those we don't have,
we
so
don't have,
she put it on the next agenda. What happened this time is after we went into closed session, we came out of closed session and it's not on video. So that hurt me because our last 30 minutes of that last meeting was quite a show. I mean, we went back and forth and then we did an open session, what should have been done in closed, but we changed it in the open session. So there's a lot going on there that I'm gonna have to speak to some of us about what we actually did, because it's not on tape. After we went into closed session, it was just blank the whole rest of the way. So I don't know, whatever we decided in the closed session, when we came out, we changed it to only half of the ALJ decision.
yeah.
And so I'm gonna have to look at those, we're gonna have to go over those minutes somehow.
We can go over it, Jeff, offline. I'll go
okay.
over it with you because I wrote
Okay.
it down.
Okay. Because it was just confusing to me and I was late for work and then this past 2 weeks I've had COVID. So it's been a terrible time this time. But so hopefully after that meeting, everything will be back to normal.
So we'll be moving it for the next, for the meeting next month.
Yeah, Beth told me
Okay.
she'd put it on next time, yeah.
Okay. And then we move on to the director's report.
Okay, and I will speed read to make sure we can get to everything before Rabbi Carpenter leaves. So we had no right to sue letters in the month of August. We had one employment case to settle in mediation for $5,000 and release of the public interest. That one involved allegations of race discrimination. It was a pretty new case, so that resolved pretty quickly. We were notified that we were eligible for some partnership funds for HUD last month. So we're kind of researching initiatives that we can do with those funds. Initially, we didn't know how much we were going to get, but I've since learned that we'll get $13,000 to do something. So we might take that and try to supplement some hours for a part-time person, or we might do a bigger initiative, kind of public outreach thing. We did the municipal equity training last month. We had a pretty good turnout. We had about 130 people come to that from across the state. So that was a good turnout. And we had really good feedback. And, I think it went well for our first little initiative planned by a small group of municipal commissions with our kind of limited resources. I attended the Iowa Public Information Board meeting last month. They accepted the Mallory Hoyt's complaint against the commission. So I guess we'll wait and see what they say as a result of that. So they're conducting, I guess, an investigation.
In a meeting.
I attended a motion hearing in one of the administrative appeals that we have pending right now. We're still monitoring COVID-19 and the impact that it'll have on the office. We're still kind of in the same place that we were last month. Scott County seems to have the highest rate of people hospitalized with COVID, behind Polk and Lynn County. The transmission rate is high. The CDC is recommending that everybody wear masks in indoor settings. We're still pretty low for our vaccination rate. The data still varies a bit between the CDC and Iowa Department of Public Health website. They do have a little bit of an explanation there of why it is different now. I don't know that I am equipped to explain it, but according to CDC data, we're at 50.2%, and Iowa Department of Public Health, we're at 44.8%. And I think that's as of either yesterday or Sunday. I reached out to Department of Transportation regarding the commission's role as the Title VI coordinator for the city, city bus. So we're listed on the city's website as the Title VI coordinator, and people are directed to call us with questions regarding Title VI compliance. And this is something that was implemented prior to me starting, and the staff member who worked on it is no longer with us. And so we have a new staff member, and we were kind of going over what that entails, that role. And I realized we don't have that written down somewhere. I assumed that it was written down somewhere, but what we had was not, it wasn't clear what the expectations were. So I reached out to the Department of Transportation to kind of get more information about what that entails and whether or not they have training for that staff member to go through, so that when they work with people on getting those complaints regarding city bus, we know exactly what the procedure are and who to refer it to. Through that process, we learned that there's a bit of gray area regarding what the city has designated the commission as. And the city's Title VI plan, they list the commission as a transportation-related board. And I'm not exactly sure what that means. And it's not clear in the plan. According to the city bus Title VI plan, it identifies several things that the commission is going to do that the commission does not do. And I'm not sure who drafted that or why they thought the commission performed those specific duties. But they are not something that the commission does, and I'm not sure where that came from. So I'll need to, when I have time, look through that more carefully and kind of highlight the items that we do not do and forward that out to you all to kind of see where we want to go from there, with whether recommending that there be a procedure and funding associated with it to establish those things, or that be assigned somewhere. We have a push-out screening that's going to occur next month at the main library. That one is going to be October 6th at 5:30 p.m. at main library. we're doing some research on HUD programming expansion and see if we can, if we would be eligible for some capacity building funding opportunities to conduct more outreach under our HUD program. It would be kind of a different program under HUD where it would focus more so on not necessarily advocacy, but more proactive things rather than conducting investigations. And so I met with the two groups working on the harassment complaints. And I guess we're moving forward with that process. And that is all I have.
Okay. Need a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second.
Okay.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, so the director's report for August is approved. And then we can move on to commissioner training.
So this one is the one that we talked about last year, and then people weren't available to stay for the entire time. So we need to identify some dates for training. We still have the same setup with the 4 different trainings for a half-day training. So it's starting out with kind of a baseline bias training. And we maybe even should invite the mayor and council to participate as well. That might be a helpful thing for folks to utilize in their day-to-day work as well. So do we want to maybe do like a poll to see when folks are available for those times, or do we want to try to identify some dates here and now?
How long session is that?
4 hours.
Oh, it's 4 hours.
Mm-hmm. Not everybody all at once.
Well, my only full day off is Thursday and then like Saturday. Okay. Or, I mean, otherwise, if it's in the morning early at 8, or 9.
Since everybody's silent, would it be preferable if I send out like the link for people to fill in dates and times that they would be available?
Yeah, I think if you could do it
Like a
doodle poll and
doodle poll.
Yeah. The dual poll would work.
Okay.
Oh, it would work.
Alrighty, I'll do that.
The only reason I was silent was because any time would have worked, and I was just.
Do you want to move on to the next thing?
Training? Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. Next would be the annual report.
was this the issue about whether it would be on the city website or on our website?
I don't remember.
Because last I looked, when you go to the to the civil rights section of the city website. Our last published annual report was 2017. And I wasn't sure why that was.
Well, that's not our last published report. We don't have access to the city website.
Well, I guess the issue then becomes, do we want to have our annual report on our website with the city so that it's available to anybody who wants to look at it? That would be my wish. I don't know what other people think.
Yeah, I think it should be.
I think that if people are going to be looking to find out about us and our work, the first place they're going to look is the city website. So we can have it on our website, but we should submit it to the city, to place on the city's website as well.
I think what Janelle is referring to is our page on the city's website, and we don't have access to it. And Cody has sent more than one email about getting access to posting things. We're supposed to post things on our website, but we don't have access to it.
Oh, and perhaps that issue needs to be yet another piece on the agenda for the subgroup that's meeting with the mayor and Corey Spiegel. About why we can't post on the city website, on our page,
Yes.
City website.
Yes.
That sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll table this for the next meeting?
Or are they just gonna bring it up for the next meeting with the mayor, or I don't know if it's in between?
Well, and I guess I'm still confused. So, Latrice, are you saying that you give them our annual report and ask them to put it on our page and then they won't do it? Or what's the real issue here?
No, we're supposed to have access to post on our page.
So you haven't provided the annual report to them and asked them to put it on the page?
They don't put anything on our page. We put it on our page. So I'm not sure who them is, but the council and the mayor have the annual report. To post it on our webpage, we're supposed to have access to that, and we go in and upload it.
And you said Cody has already reached out to them to get access?
Could you ask that again?
Cody has made a statement on chat which says that he's asked for assistance to help log in and upload items, but he's awaiting a response from Matt Thompson and in IT.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that certainly needs to happen, so.
Yeah.
Maybe we could follow up again.
Yep.
Well, I think if we should keep pushing them, but I mean, when Jeff and Mike and I meet with, again, with the mayor and Corey Spiegel, we should definitely bring it up. Let them know that we have yet to get a response and we have no access to our page. What's that all about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I made a note of that, Rabbi Kopp, and we'll put that on the list to get clarification. So I guess we can move on to the next item.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't get a date from them either when that next meeting is.
I didn't I didn't set the next meeting up, because I was waiting, for us three to have another meeting, so, it's in the works, so, more to come.
I want to make sure that before the annual report is released, that the commission sees it and approves its release.
That's never been a thing, and I think last year I was given the direct opposite direction. But I definitely went over the items that were included within the annual report several times over the last few months.
I agree with Richard with seeing it. I'm looking at page 7 where half of our commissioners' pictures or statements are missing, and that looks bad.
I think I've asked for them several times and have not received them. And I was told that Ruby was going to follow up with everyone and have them over to me by March 20th. But I did not receive those.
Well, I submitted my statement to Beth and Latrice on Tuesday, June 16th, 2020, and Beth acknowledged receiving it, and it does not appear in the report.
That was the statement for last year's report, and it's in there.
Okay, so I guess, I don't know, moving forward, does the commission want to look at the annual report first before it's released? I mean, everybody's decision.
I think that would be a good idea. I mean, we are the commission after all. And this confusion with the statements and the photos, I mean, we could get that resolved.
Okay. So we can just put that in record that future
I don't
annual
think that
report-
there's been a vote on it. And last year, I went over the same thing, and I was told that that was not necessary. So I do think that there needs to be some clarification of which one we're going to do, because if staff is given directive to do one thing, and then when they do it that way, given a directive to do it the other way, there needs to be some clarity there.
I move therefore that the annual report be submitted to the commission for review and approval before it's published.
I second.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I got a question to the motion, please.
Okay.
Let's go back. I know we don't have a lot of time to spend on this here, but if we're gonna approve it and stuff, we ought to put ourselves about some type of procedure process. We ought to not hold the report hostage so that we can't get it published in a prescribed time. So, you know, if we're going to review it, then we ought to make sure that when the report is submitted to us, that we have a certain timeline to get it back. And if we don't get it back, then the report gets published, so that we're not sitting back waiting on anybody from the commission in order to make this happen. I think that would be appropriate. Thank you.
Mike, would you like to propose that as an amendment to Richard Pecora's motion?
If he's willing to do that, I definitely would rather for it to be that way, because I don't want us holding up the annual report because we want to see it and then we get it, and it's like everything else is floating around and it never gets back to the point where it's supposed to be. So if Richard would amend it, I think it would be great. So the responsibility lies with us to get that thing back in and get it done in a timely manner. That's my only hookup.
Well, Latrice, when is that? When are we supposed to submit the annual report? Period. when is
It just says that we're supposed to do one annually, but I think this is the subject of the complaint that the city submitted to the Public Information Board is something being submitted to the commission then becomes a public record, rather than not, regardless of whether it's a draft.
I'm not quite sure of that. I mean, the city council holds working meetings where they work these things out. And in order to put them into final form, when, which becomes public, the final form becomes public information.
Well, that's the subject of the complaint to the Public Information Board, and they accepted it to investigate. So that's exactly what we were doing with the draft administrative rules. So that's a consideration too, because once it's submitted, then it's a public record. So even if it's draft and not finished, it's a public record, apparently.
Well, it can still be public record, I guess. And, we'll just have to deal with that if we get a request about it. But I think the idea is that we would all like the ability to review the document before it goes on the website, for instance, or goes out in print to the public or to the council and the mayor. And
maybe the commission could draft it.
I don't think anybody has time to do that.
I don't think we have the information. I think it's a staff product, and I think we need to review it before it is published. So I think the motion and the vote stands for itself. And I certainly agree with Michael that, we need to be given it and given a reasonable time to make comments and corrections and additions and deletions, and then bring those to the next meeting and finalize it. I'm not sure that requires a vote.
That has never been a part of the annual report process. And I would say if that is going to be the process, the commission should probably be more involved in drafting it, because the information that's in the report is in the monthly report. So it's really just a compilation of all of the monthly reports added together as far as like case-related information.
I think it's another way for to put a little fire under the commissioners as well, if they haven't submitted anything in terms of a comment or a picture that gives the commission an opportunity to roll back around and catch that. Not necessarily anything in the report, because really you're not going to change anything in the report unless that's something that's out of the ordinary that was listed in the report, because it's going to be something that's done according to each monthly minutes and something that has been done that has publicly been done. So with that said, I think it's an easy process to get done. So,
Are we good with the motion? Or do we need an amendment to that?
I don't know that everybody voted, but I also think that when staff asks for something, they should receive it. And I've been asking for everyone's photos since June of 2020. And we're now at September 2021, and I have not received those. And I have been giving monthly reminders to send those. The most recent was in April, when I said that we would be publishing the report, and I really needed everybody to give me their statements and photos who had not submitted those.
Well, and I'm sorry, you just said that you had been asking for them.
Yes, for photos and statements. I don't even have photos from everyone, and I've been asking for that since last year.
Well, and I'm so confused. I mean, I sent you my statement last year, and you're saying there's a 2020 report that I also haven't seen?
You sent me the statement for last year's report, and it's in last year's report. And then when we were doing this year's report, I asked everyone to send over a statement and their photo. Some people did, some people did not. And then I sent over reminders. And at the March meeting, Ruby said that she was going to follow up with everyone who hadn't. And I think we went over the people who had not given it to us. And she said that she would get it over to me by March 20th. I did not receive it. And then at the April meeting, I reminded everyone again to get it over to me. So I mean, I'm not sure how much more staff would be doing to get that information when we've asked for it repeatedly and have not received it. So I do kind of, I don't know.
Let's in the future find a more loving way and a more creative way to address it. It's such a small item, really, in terms of what needs to be done. So let's just, just commit ourselves to addressing it, to encouraging and to helping or whatever needs to be done.
And I guess my issue is that it's being presented as if staff did something that should be changed when really it was the commissioners and that we're supposed to send it over. And I reminded everyone multiple times to send it over. So
I don't think we're blaming.
I think that the change would be for there to be follow up on making sure that we send over the things that are being requested. And if someone is taking responsibility for receiving those items and turning them over to us, then that should happen. And I think it kind of goes back to the issue that I've raised regarding ignoring me and not following up.
Okay, so I guess the motion is for future annual reports to be presented to the commission first, reviewed before being published. And we called for a vote, and everybody said aye, not unless anybody else wants to put their 2 cents in it.
I don't think so, Madam. Hold up just one moment. Here's what happened. We got up to the point where we were going to take a vote, and I questioned it, and I wanted an amendment to clearly stipulate that that we commissioners would submit what information we need in a timely fashion to get the report done. And I would have to agree with what the director said. As the commissioner, we had a responsibility to respond back to her as well as each other and correspondence, whatever type of communication is put forth out there. And it just makes for a better working relationship with us and through city and wherever we are corresponding. So if the piece that I would like to see in a minute is that we have a period of time that we take to get the report and a certain time to get it back in. If that makes it clear, I hope it does anyway. So I may have confused myself. But there needs to be a time limit for us to have a report and get it back in a time period.
And I don't see why we have to approach this as an all or nothing thing. Either the commission does it or puts it together or the staff puts it together. I think that the commission and the staff should be always working cooperatively. And if there are elements that in which the commission can participate or should be participating in the compiling of that report, then we should be participating. But it's not a either or matter. It's we work together or we wind up not working at all.
Well, I do have in the notes, that Latrice did ask for several meetings for our pictures and the statements, because I actually thought I was the last one to do it since I was the newest member. But then when it was published, I saw that I actually was one of the people that got it in, but she did. I mean, in all the meetings I've taken notes and she was asking for pictures and the statements. but I don't know. I mean, I know when we're talking about the whole, agenda, the whole report, that it's easy maybe to not hear everything, but I do know that we were asked for 3 or 4 months at least to get those in. And they were supposed to be in by, I think, March 20th.
Well,
Okay, so,
Hey, I'll make a motion. I
there you go.
move that by the end of March each year, the commissioners will submit all requested photos and information for the annual report.
I second.
okay. And everybody in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed? All right, so motion approved. Next agenda item, oh, yes. So old business, the policing reforms proposal follow-up.
Well, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever resolved whether or not we would be willing to be the recipients of community policing complaints that people are hesitant to submit actually to the police for fear of retribution. I believe that it should be, but I think for me, it should be a yes or no answer. I mean, and if it's yes, we need to, make that well known. If it's no, we need to explain why, we can't be a safe haven for those people.
Oh,
Would that be
Rabbi-
in connection to this, Rabbi Cart?
Why?
That would be connected to this policing reforms proposal.
Yes, that's part of the, because that was, the issue of the complaint system, of the hesitancy of members of the community to submit their complaints to the police department were part of our original policing reforms proposal, and in discussion with the mayor, he expressed an interest in seeing people being able to come to us, and that if the complaints come through us, that they would be given credibility. But we haven't decided yes or no whether we would be willing to do that.
Rabbi, do we have a formal request for us to do that?
I made that formal request at least a month ago. I think it was 2 months ago.
2 months.
After Ruby and I had a meeting with the mayor in the spring, and we discussed that, and I brought it to the commission. I think it was in the spring, and I brought it to the commission, and we have studiously avoided answering that question since then.
I'm getting lost. Answering what question?
The question of whether or not he would be willing to serve as a conduit of complaints concerning police officers for those who are hesitant to submit those complaints to the police department for fear of police retribution.
I know some people have concerns about, staffing and how that's gonna go. But yeah, we didn't make a decision.
Let me ask a question. We are currently now in this organization short personnel to perform duties that we already have. How does this increase our availability to perform this task along with what currently have before this commission? I mean, are we able to do it in a proficient manner? I mean, can we do it with what the current staff that we have that's available here?
Mike, I cannot substantively answer that question, but I can say this. I can't substantively answer it because we don't know how many complaints we will be receiving. But I can say this: when we started exploring the whole issue of policing reforms, and we went out to the community in the summer of 2019, actually, the summer of 2019, after the George Floyd shooting, not shooting, but murder. One of the important pieces of feedback that we received from the community is that people in the community are afraid to register complaints about officer misconduct to the police department for fear of retribution. Now, we don't know how many people are going to submit those complaints, but we identified that as that the system for filing complaints had that fundamental flaw to it. That flaw of intimidation, whether real or imagined. And so this seems to be the avenue to more effectively address it, just like it's being addressed that way in Des Moines. And we included that when we included the Des Moines document in our formal report, as we also had the issue of the filing complaints as one of the issues addressed in the formal report. So in terms of what it's gonna be, how taxing it's gonna be on the staff, we won't know until we actually go ahead and do it, and we find out what type of load it adds. Because for all we know, 100 people could file complaints, or nobody could file a complaint through us. But obviously, it was also an issue in Des Moines, and Des Moines made that an option.
We currently serve as like a conduit for receiving those complaints. And we send them over to, if the person wants to file with internal affairs, we send those over. If they want to file a civil rights claim, then we send those over to the Iowa Civil Rights Commission. So we currently accept those now. We just don't conduct the investigation internally. I think if the recommendation is for staff to conduct the investigation internally, there needs to be something very clear that staff will not be retaliated against, because I think we have seen what happens to staff as a result of even mentioning the police department.
Rabbi Karp, if I remember correctly, our meeting with the mayor just we just talked about having the commission as a receiver of reports, but not necessarily conducting the investigation.
If I remember correctly, that's correct. That we would receive the reports and we would pass them on. Yeah, and that the very fact that they're coming through the Civil Rights Commission means that they will be given serious attention, and that there will be an eye to whether or not there will be a close scrutiny as to whether or not there is any retaliation. And if there is, there would be severe consequences.
I guess
I think, Rabbi Cobb, I'll say this quick and I'll get out of the way. I think we need to get a formal memorandum for what the city wants us to do, and bring that and let's vote on it. And then we got to consider what does that all entail. Do we get the investigative part? Do we not get that part? Do we just take the complaint? So I just think we got to be clear about what our part that we are playing in this process, and that everybody understands that piece from the very beginning. So I'm neither against nor for it, but I'm going to do what we decide to do with respect to that and stuff. But I think it's got to be clear in terms of what the expectations are.
Well, I don't disagree with you, Mike, and I would think, once again, that would fall into the purview of our subcommittee that's meeting with the mayor to nail down the details of what that would mean.
Well, I didn't have that as one of our things to do. I mean, I can put it on there. That was something that you and Ruby had talked to him about. I mean, I can put it on there. I certainly don't have a problem doing that. If that's what we want to do. So I'll make a note of that and we'll move forward.
Mr. Guster, does the committee, the police committee, when the two of us went on, accepted part on the committee with the police, is that committee still in? Is it still composed? And
no, we did away with the
decap.
Traffic decap. Yeah, we did away with the decap, and we took it. We didn't do away with it. I mean, we did away with the committee. We didn't do away with decap itself, with what the responsibility is. But we took that mission up under the law enforcement group, and we're currently revamping it and redoing it so that we can present that data to the public here. And I'm not sure when we're going to be able to do it, but that committee, as it was, no longer exists. The responsibilities of that committee now exist under the Scott County Law Enforcement group that we meet every 2 weeks on. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Boyd?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have anything else about the policing reforms?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
I'm thinking that maybe I should be involved in whatever conversation that is, because it sounds like there is some talking past one another, because we already received complaints and passed them on. So if that's what's being recommended, that's something that we already do. So if you want that advertised more, that's a different thing than saying that we want to start doing that.
So you're saying, do we want to advertise more? Is that what?
It sounds like there's some confusion of what it is that we do regarding police complaints. If I'm understanding what Rabbi Carp is saying was proposed, that's something that we already do and we have been doing for several years, which is serve as a conduit, so someone can, and the police department sends people over to our office for this. So somebody wants to file a complaint regarding misconduct, they send them over to our office to file the complaint. And then we have the Internal Affairs complaints and the Iowa Civil Rights Commission complaint forms available. If they need assistance filling those out, then we'll help them fill it out. We get it filled out, we send it over to them, we scan it in, and then we give it back to the person so that they can have a copy of it. That way, if something happens where they're told that it was lost or something, they still have their copy of it. And then there's a record of it going over because we scanned it over to them.
I guess if Mike and Rabbi Karp, gonna add that to their discussion with the mayor. I know Latrice wants to be involved, I guess.
Madam Chair, what we'll do is so that we can move on, we will address that issue with the mayor and the city administrator. And once we work the other issues, we will bring the director in on the conversation where it pertains to the complaint being taken by the Civil Rights Office. And then we will flush out in terms of whether we do the investigative part, whether or not we do the investigative part, or who else do it, or where the responsibility lies. And so we'll flush all of that out and get that taken care of.
Okay. So let's move on to the Commissioner Communication update.
I believe that's probably me. As Rabbi Kopp has indicated, we've met 2 times already with the mayor and the city administrator just to talk about working relationship with the city, with the Civil Rights Commission here in terms of how we improve that. We've been talking about the complaint of the harassment complaint of the director as well. The 2 conversations, I think, has resulted in some great conversations thus far. I think at this point in time that what we wanted to do was come back and meet with the director to make sure that we were focused in on some things that with what she wanted us to clearly focus on as we spoke with the mayor and the city administrator. So we've done that, and now I've got to go back and set up the 3rd meeting, and I think we'll be able to come to some good, clear results in terms of how we're going to move forward in our relationship and how we improve that and working out the harassment complaint as well. But I think we're in a pretty good shape with that, and Rabbi Kopp or Jeff may have something they want to add to that.
I think you were pretty much said it. I mean, the director has submitted to us a document of her concerns that we need to sit down and review before we meet with the mayor and Corey Spiegel again to figure out how we are going to present those.
Now, is this also where the subcommittee of Commissioner Swanberg and I met together? Is that a part of this item?
Not sure.
I guess you could take that as well because it's all working. The 2 committees are working separately, but in 2 specific areas, but different. So if you had an update that you want to provide, I think it's probably the place to do that.
We had Commissioner Swanberg and I, we had scheduled a time for the mediation team and the director and chairperson to meet, and we're thrown off schedule with the illness of one of the mediation team's relative and her having to go out of town. But we're back on schedule, and the team has met with our director. It has also met with Commissioner Swanberg and with me, and we have an upcoming meeting on next week on the 17th, where the team will meet with our chairperson. So then after that, we'll get together as all 6 of us and meet together and go from there. It's interesting meeting and talking with the team, and I wonder if we could profit from their experience as a commission. We didn't have the meetings together or any training together where we could we could bond and get to know each other's differences and likenesses and and it would be a good thing. It might be a good thing to see if when they share, if they could also share something about the teamwork and the working together of the commission in a more in a way that is better. Do you have anything to add to that, Commissioner Swanberg?
No, I think you said that very well, Ethelene. It was a very interesting meeting, a good meeting, and I'm certainly hopeful that the mediation will go well. So thanks again for all your work on it.
Anything else on that? All right, so let's move on to the director's salary evaluation. So we have in the audience the HR director for the city of Davenport to present maybe several options of how evaluation have been done. Are you here still?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you are.
Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Fleming. I'm the HR director here for the city. I've heard a few of you say that we're on a time crunch, so I'll just jump right in. I'm here to talk to you about a few different ways that an evaluation could be approached. So there certainly could be other options here, and if there are any ideas, we can discuss those as well. You could use, for an evaluation for your director, you could use a memo format, so providing her with different comments for feedback. You could also use a kind of a general template with different rating categories. So for example, the Society for Human Resource Management is an international HR organization. They have a template that has different general categories like job knowledge, quality of work, quantity of work, etc. So you could use something like that. You could also use a template with rating categories catered to the position. So that's another approach you could take. You could also use a combination. So you could have a rating, a template with rating categories catered to the position or general categories, and also a section for comments. For your reference, both the city administrator and city attorney receive an annual evaluation in this format, ratings, and a portion for comments. Like I said in the beginning, if anyone has other ideas, those could certainly be discussed. You as commissioners should discuss the approach you'd like to take. It would also be helpful for your director to provide feedback, and I can assist in however you'd like to proceed.
Allison, this is Mike Guster. So can you tell me what raise are we talking about? Evaluation. I mean, can you kind of flush that out for me a little bit, please?
Sure. So I'm not sure what kind of pay increase you're thinking of or have discussed previously. I can tell you for department directors that report to the city administrator, they have a merit increase system, so it's based on a performance evaluation. Like I said, I'm not sure what kind of increase is being considered for the civil rights director, but that's it's, I guess, a little bit subjective on the other side for the administrator and her direct reports.
So I guess the question then that I would ask then is, I'm trying to, I guess I'm a little confused, and I don't want to seem like I'm being a smart jerk or something, but what are you really telling us? Or what are you? I guess I'm trying to figure out what am I missing here or something.
Like, do you mean like what was done last year or in the past?
Well,
So what Allison is trying to present is, evaluation for the civil rights director of how we want to do that.
Hey guys, evaluation of what is it a normal step increase? What I mean. The terminology, guys, is something that we've got to understand very clearly what we are discussing. You could be, Allison could be talking about a wage increase or a salary increase, and we got to I want to be clear about the particular raise that she's speaking to or that we are talking about so that I understand. I mean, there's been several different types of raises and things that we've discussed over the last few years, and I think that's where the confusion has lied or has begun to provide some to provide confusion to our discussion. So that's what I'm trying to find out and stuff. So that's what I would like to kind of hear.
Yep, no problem. So the performance evaluation, so I guess I can tell you from a department director standpoint, somebody who reports, department directors who report to the city administrator. The directors have an annual performance evaluation. Based on that performance evaluation, they receive a merit increase. And I heard you say a step increase. The directors that report to the city administrator, there's not a step increase. It's based on merit, not a defined step like you mentioned. A performance evaluation for directors that report to the administrator is conducted on an annual basis. So that's what I was here to provide information on.
Allison, this is Latrice. I think what Mike is asking clarification for is we were talking about the wage increase, the annual wage increase that everyone receives automatically. So he's confused as to why you're discussing a merit increase, because that's not what the previous conversation was about. And so he's asking for clarification if you're talking about the general wage increase that everyone receives automatically, or if you're talking about a separate merit-based increase.
I'm specifically talking, since he asked about the step increase, I'm specifically talking about that there's a merit increase, not a step increase for directors.
Right, but what the commission was voting on was the wage increase that everyone receives automatically. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I guess I wasn't present for any vote that the commission made on a salary increase.
Well, what we're referring to is, do you know what wage increase we're referring to, where everyone gets July 1st of every year?
1.75%.
Okay, and he said
that's not a merit increase, correct?
The GWI is not a merit increase.
Okay, and that's what Mike is asking for clarification on.
Yeah, that was the one, Allison, that I was really talking about, and because I think in a previous meeting I was told that all we had to do was do a memo and vote on it and clearly state that the wage increase would be granted yearly based upon blase, whatever the terminology would need to say, and then the commission would vote on it, and we wouldn't have to do it again. So that's the one I was talking about. And can you speak to that one just a little bit more, Allison?
So I guess for directors or for Latrice specifically?
It could be Latrice or any of the employees over in this in the commission area.
Okay, so I guess I need to get some more information. I'm not sure, is there a specific vote you were looking to take today on the director's salary? I was here to present information on different approaches for a performance evaluation.
Okay.
Well, but Allison, Ruby explained to us that you told her that the commission doesn't vote on my wage increase that occurs July 1st. And I guess I would be confused.
Hey guys, hold up, guys. We're not gonna get into it back about that because the play for us today. And it's not here today, and I realize that what Ruby said and what I probably said and some other people said, and I really don't want to go there today, guys. I really don't, please. So if we can just kind of move on and we can gather some more information and get to where we need to be without any further confusion, I would just appreciate that today, because I'm like Rabbi Cobb, and I know people got time and places to go and all this good stuff. And this conversation is very important, and the things that we are discussing is very important. But I just don't want it to get out of hand. Okay, that's all I want to say. I want us to get to a place and a time where we're speaking and we're talking to one another, and we're not snatching each other's head off when we're talking, guys. So, and I hope nobody.
I just wanted to clarify because we have held off on sending it upstairs, so I still haven't gotten my annual wage increase because it was presented as though the commission voted on something improperly, or that the commission was not supposed to vote on the wage increase, even though they vote on it every year. So I think I would like for that to be clarified, because it's already been voted on and approved, so we could just send it upstairs. But I wanted to hold off in good faith to let it be clarified after there was some more information gathered. But I still don't know who was told what or why. But I would like for that to be clarified.
I guess what needs clarification to me is, okay, there's this increase that happens every year at the 1.7%. Is there another evaluation or not? Is there just one or two? Or is there just that regular one? Or is there never, I don't get it. Is there two or one?
It sounds like what Allison is saying is that there are two.
So,
Allison,
Jeff,
Allison,
Oh.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you know, it seems simple to me, and I'm not certain why it's so confusing. But you tell me if I'm wrong. What I understand is there are two possible increases that an employee can receive. One is called a step, one is called a merit. But when it comes to a director, such as Latrice, she doesn't qualify. There is no, there's nothing in the record for a step increase. Her sole increase is a merit increase. Earlier this year, we received a report that said it was time for Latrice's step increase. And we dealt with that, but later found out there is no step increase for Latrice. It's solely a merit increase. And so there's only one increase. For Latrice, it's a merit increase. There may be step increases for other members of the staff and the commission, but because she's a director, she qualifies for one increase. Is that your understanding?
So I can't speak to the salary increases that you would provide to your director. I can speak to the way that compensation is handled for directors who report to the city administrator. For those directors, there is not a step increase that's automatic. There is a merit increase after an annual evaluation.
And is there an annual increase July 1st?
For directors who report to the administrator,
For everyone.
okay, yes. The general wage increase,
So the general wage increase goes to directors as well. Was it 1.75%?
yes, I believe so.
So directors receive that on July 1st automatically. Is
Yes,
that correct?
yes.
And then,
That's my understanding.
the directors receive merit increases based upon their annual evaluation.
They are eligible for a merit increase based on.
They are eligible for, they're eligible for merit increases based upon their annual evaluation. And actually, you came here today to talk with us about different approaches to doing that annual evaluation. Am I right with that?
Right, I'm presenting information for the commissioners to decide how they would like to do that. And that's your decision, that's not my decision at all.
Yes.
And for clarification for Richard, what we voted on was the July 1st increase. That's supposed to happen every year, and it happens for everyone else, but it didn't happen for me. So that's what we voted on, the July 1st increase, not a merit increase.
I understand that.
So everyone else receives theirs automatically, but myself and the library director, ours has to be voted on before we start receiving it.
Well, I think the confusion was that it was called a step increase when it really shouldn't have been called a step increase. It's not. It's this GWI, I guess. So that's, I think that's where the confusion maybe arose.
Yeah, general wage increase. Is that the right term?
General wage increase, that's a GWI.
Yes.
Well, does that mean there are three potential increases?
No.
No.
GW and
Is GWI the step increase?
No step increase. No step increase. For director, GWI and a possible merit increase. There's no step. So, do we need to take another vote, because we used the wrong term, and vote that Latrice as our director should be receiving her annual GWI, annual GWI, general wage increase.
I so move that the director is approved to receive her GWI increase for the year 2021.
Retroactive to July 1, right, Mike?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Before you vote, may I just get some clarification? What did you vote on previously?
It says step increase is what we voted on previously.
But I think it was portrayed to us as what everybody gets on July 1, what we're talking about, the GWI. That's how it was portrayed to us, that it was automatic.
Yeah, we were referring to the wage, to the general grade wage increase. That's what we were referring to.
But we used the wrong terminology.
Okay, I apologize. I need a little bit. I need to get a little bit more information here. If you bear with me here 1 second, I can get full clarification. I'm just looking up our information. Are there any questions on a performance evaluation? Is that something that the commission would like to do?
I think we also have to decide how we want to do that moving forward.
And don't we have a personnel committee?
Yes.
This would seem to be something within the purview of the personnel committee, maybe, to look at those various evaluation instruments and bring 1 or 2 or 3 to the full commission, that then we can vote on that if that's what the committee wants to do. What do other people think?
I think since we were here, we can go ahead and clear the docket for lack of a better term, and get it out of the way, and then we proceed down those roads for the next evaluation or whatever with the personnel committee. Because one of the things we waited since July already, and hadn't gotten the raise done at this point, and so I just think it would behoove us to go ahead and do that.
Ruby, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I have a sick child, so I'm trying to.
So call the question. Is there not a motion and a second on the floor?
I made the motion.
Yeah, he made a motion to, that Latrice was approved to receive her increase as of July 1st of 2021.
Oh, yeah. Mike made.
This is Allison. I apologize. I'm still looking for the information you requested.
Does the motion need seconding?
No, I seconded it. Mike made the motion.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and vote, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
Why I call the question?
So everybody in favor of approving the GWI for Latrice retroactive to July 2021, say aye.
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 Okay, anybody opposed?
I abstain.
Okay, so that's approved. Now we, while Allison is looking for some more information, because we just have to decide as a commission how the evaluation will be moving forward.
Okay, that piece needs to be done by the personnel committee.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
They can work that piece out. I think that's best done in that group, that committee.
So maybe the committee can work with Allison further if need be.
Yeah, that would be wise.
Yep.
Could I ask who's on that committee?
I believe it's Mike, Ethelene, and Ruby. We have an internal process for conducting evaluation. I don't see why my evaluation would be different from staff.
I would say that it would be different from staff because staff is under your direction, so therefore that's an evaluation that you have set up for staff, but you're under the direction of the commission, and the commission is responsible for.
Hey guys, once again, the committee will bring back a recommendation for the commission to make a decision on, and we can do it at that time. I don't think there's a need to have that conversation here at this time. I'm not being smart, but I think we've got to be more, a little bit more consistent in terms of how we're going to do it. If you want the committee to do it, let the committee do it. Bring it back to the commission with the options to make the decision, and then we can do what we need to do in terms of talking with the director, or whoever we need to do, or whoever we need to talk to in order to get the right performance evaluation in place and stuff, and make sure that it's done correctly and that it's done by policy about what we want to do over here on the commission side. Thanks.
Okay, so the personnel committee will just connect with Allison.
Yeah, we'll get back with Allison and make an appointment with her to go with what we want to do, and she can advise us whether or not we are going down the right road or tweak us and help us out.
Okay. All right, so we can move on to public comment and presentation.
Before we go to public comment, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Under public comment, Commissioner Boyd training update. Is that really a function of public comment?
Maybe that's why I said public comment and presentation.
Oh, okay. Just a clarification, thank you.
Okay. So, do you want to do your update first, Evelyn, or do we want to hear from the public?
Public comment.
Okay. So if there's anybody in the public who wants to address the commission, I guess you can raise your hand, or I don't see it. Mm-hmm.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Laura Rodriguez, member of the public, and have been sitting here this whole time. Just wanted to address some things that I've observed. Number one, as an autistic person trying to participate or pay attention to this meeting, I just wanted to point out that it was extremely distracting and borderline ableist for whoever did not mute their phone. Hearing a loud, old-fashioned ringtone is extremely offensive to me. And I'm assuming anyone with sensory processing disorder would agree. Second thing I wanted to point out, as a Christian person, definitely felt discriminated against at this meeting when somebody said, Jesus effing Christ. Really hate to hear that. I expected more from the Civil Rights Commission. A few more things. a white man being the sole voice against a wage increase for the Black director does not look good on the Civil Rights Commission or anywhere else. Interrupting her, thinking that he is the most important voice in the conversation, exercising misogyny and white supremacy as the most ignorant and least qualified member of the committee, the most offensive committee to the public. I would just like to ask once more for Richard Pecora to step down. He is a very offensive person, and I find his presence on this committee discriminatory. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to address the commission? No more? I guess we can move on to Ethelyn's presentation update.
Okay. Little did I know when I raised my hand and indicated my desire to be involved in the ADA symposium this past July in Phoenix, that it would be life-changing. I don't know if you can see this box, but this is the box that of the material that I had to read over and that I was studied under and taught for those days. When Mike and I, we were the commissioners that went. Commissioner Guster and I, we attended, and two of our staff members attended. And at the beginning, I knew very little. I didn't even know what ADA stood for. But anyway, when Mike and I saw the vast array of classes, we sought to start with the basics. So I've received a certificate of participation showing the 16 hours of classes that I attended there. The ADA basics, the Title I guidelines, the role of the ADA coordinator. Learned that every city has, even if the person is not called an ADA coordinator, they have someone who works to do that work. Another session was reasonable accommodations, service and emotional assistance animals. I saw that not only were dogs, but also small horses were certified. There's a discussion forum for the National Network of ADA Centers. And one class that we attended was, is your playground surface crying for an ADA complaint? Another was understanding children's civil and educational disability rights. Then the last one was transition, accommodations from high school to the world outside. And we had our keynote speakers come and speak to us, and one of our national leaders, her name was Haven Gurma. She spoke, wow. I was surprised to learn that she was both blind and deaf with such excellent speaking and working with the group. That's one thing that I saw a lot of. I saw a lot of people who, some people didn't have arms and legs, but they were leaders and they were active, and it was just something to see that array of people doing the things that they did to arrange for our training. we need to be as aware and knowledgeable about the meanings, the innuendo, and the details of the cases that we take through the and act upon. We need to be as aware as of those details as a lawyer who works on civil rights cases. We need the excellent kind of training that we received and that is given nationwide and regionally, such as the ADA. The number of people in leadership and sponsorship who are there moving around, excuse me, just like I said, they were just embodiments of talent, expertise, and compassion. And it was truly an amazing experience for me. And I think that Commissioner Guster would agree. I'd recommend that that each of you consider going to a session such as that in the future. There's the training was outstanding, and I felt like, okay, I'm ready to. Well, when I got back, one of the first cases we were doing was dealing with some of the courses that we took there with service animals, and it was all just very pertinent. And I'll stop there and see if you have any questions for me. Thank you. Consider going in the future. I would need to go a second time to just continue with my learning.
Well, thanks for going, you guys. And I'm wondering, are there any of those materials that would be available for us to put in kind of a library? Or I realize we don't meet in person, and so it's hard to make things available to each other. But would that be possible? Would that be helpful, do you think, Ethelene?
Yes. That would mean giving it my box, but
you probably want to hang on to it for a while. I understand that.
Well, we have a record of all the material.
Well, thanks again
no
for going.
Electronics, nothing electronic though?
Is there anything electronic?
Yeah, that you can share.
All of it was electronic.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
they shared videos, they spoke. It was state of the art. In fact, I had gotten a call from one of the gentlemen from Blue Dag. He had wanted to give me materials to share with you during this meeting, but we had difficulty yesterday getting meeting. He's going to sign me up for the bluedag.com and on the ADA Fast Finder. People were just so knowledgeable with with using those machines and typing and communicating and having a wealth of information and not having anything impede their what they were doing.
Yeah, thank you guys for going. And what was the most surprising thing that you think you found out?
Was the very leader of the association came and sat down and had lunch with Commissioner Guster and I at our table, and just regular folks who are welcoming and encouraging us, and who are just highly knowledgeable.
Great.
Okay.
I'll say this right quick. I did learn one thing about the comfort dogs and the things that they do with respect to our first case after getting back, and that's, you know, the dogs that they had, you couldn't tell if they were in the room with you unless you looked down and saw them, and so they were well behaved, and I mean, it was just like another person being there and stuff, and you know, it was. You can tell the difference between a comfort animal and a pet that somebody just had with them for a companion and stuff. And so I just thought, even at the table when we were eating, none of the comfort pets would come, or dogs would come out and rub their heads up or anything. So it was quite an experience to see people doing what they do that don't have the ability to do that's really handicapped and stuff in terms of what the ability that I can do things. So it was an eye opener. So I'll shut up now.
Okay. All right. So that is everything that we have for today. Guess our next meeting would be October
12th.
12th.
Yeah.
And anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
I second the motion.
All right. Everybody in favor of that? Say aye.
Aye.
All
And I
right.
have a couple of things for the next meeting.
Oh, yes, sorry. I
Um,
don't have it on me. Okay.
One thing I would like us to get on a monthly basis, just a financial report, just to compare, you know, income and expenses against the budget. So I think that would be something that we should consider receiving as a part of the monthly report of our director. And then the other thing, when we were meeting,
that's publicly posted on the city's website under finance. Did you hear me, Janelle?
Yes. So you don't want to bring it to our meeting?
Do you want me to? I mean, it's publicly posted. It's not.
I would like it to be at our meeting, if that would be possible, if that's not.
The other commissions do the same.
The other thing that I'd like us to take up, when we were in closed session, I think whenever it was, last month, I had not received the second, I had not received the full record. I didn't receive the second thumb drive. And I had mentioned that I thought it would be a good idea if we could be notified ahead of time when a thumb drive is going to be sent out, so that we could make time to, you know, set time aside to review what's on the thumb drive, and also to make sure that we would receive it and could give an alternate address to staff if we would have a request where it might be sent other than our home address. When I broached that to staff, I was told that staff doesn't have the time to do that. So I would like to discuss that at next month's meeting.
Okay.
And
So it'll be like,
I think the bigger thing, Janelle, is you can't give directives to staff because they are working under me. And so if there's something that you would like staff to do, then that request should come through me, because staff doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing.
That's why you were on the email.
Right, but that should come through me. I'll start with that. The second thing is, we don't have the capacity to email each commissioner and wait on a response prior to mailing it out, especially if you have a a very short turnaround. So what I proposed back to you was, if you know that you're going to be out of town, it would be helpful if you were to email staff and say, hey, I'm out of town from this day to this day. If you need to mail me something, mail it to this address. That way, staff is not having to manage receiving inquiries and information from 7 people and waiting on responses in addition to doing their other duties. And that would be very clear which person needs to receive something at a different address for a certain date. And that seems like that would be an easy workaround to still accommodate you if you're out of town and need to have it mailed somewhere else, but still receive the document.
So I guess if we're discussing this now, what my suggestion would be for
we don't have to discuss it or vote on it. What I'm saying is, you portrayed it as though I was rude to you and said, staff
I
doesn't have
didn't
time
say
for
that
this
at all, and I'm not
okay.
I'm not portraying that at all. But
So to say staff doesn't have time for that, we don't have the capacity to do that. We have 4 staff members. So if we need to mail something out and there's a short turnaround, it would be the easiest thing to notify us that you're not at home during these dates. And so if we need to mail you something, mail it to whatever address.
I have that down.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wants to add to the next agenda for next month?
Maybe we should add a discussion about whether we need to pay the mediation team or do anything in terms of what they're doing. Really.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Jeff, you want to do that motion again?
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn, and Commissioner Boyd, do you still second that? Or okay. All right, I've got 147.
Okay, 147.
Okay.
Everybody in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Hopefully nobody opposed.
Goodbye.